Alright, it's a little bit early. I wanted to catch more of the sunset, but hopefully I'll do another one later. And I'll probably get cut off because my window of time with the recording and the memory of my phone is pretty short. Anyways, last I was left off, so the last bit of intel that I gathered from the chatter, from the sources that I listened to, was the shiny ones. This was like a week ago. And the intel that I gathered from the source that was talking about it, that was channeled from another source, like enacting whatever the conversation was. Uh, the intel there pointed in the direction that the shiny ones or the light beings were responsible for whatever further situation we're in. And then so I left. That was in the city, and then leaving the city and coming out here and working with the group that I'm with. Uh, the information that came up in organic conversation was the shiny ones. Uh, it just led up to it. It was interesting, but from another direction, kind of canceling everything else out and pointing to the shiny ones as like the bright ones to look towards. So that's the state or the point of confusion, I guess, subconscious confusion that I'm currently dealing with, processing. Another point that I wanted to hit was the subtle but very effective inverted magic in the English language. Um, so this is kind of like a very simple, but anyway, it's not like a huge unveiling, but it can help if you know if you're awake enough to understand intention and what happens when you know about something and apply a different intention. So the English language to say I will not participate. One, you're speaking on a degree of applying will. You know, um, I will not is you saying a statement that is proclaiming what you won't do when you're presented with that situation. So right then and there, with the laws of understanding and with what you just said, or with what I just said, um, it kind of manifests itself. And then when presented with the situation, I don't know, it's weird. You either learn something new about yourself or you stick with your guns. And if you remember about the guns, just you stick without any interference, it becomes a very interesting situation because it kind of confuses you even more. A simpler way to look at it is I will not. I declaring the individual will. Okay, that's a positive. Like you are stating your power of will not. Okay, I will, and then boom. So you went from neutral, positive, negative. I will not. The way the subconscious it's weird. It's like our language is pinned against us in a sense. It doesn't work always, but this is something that can help on like a baseline of waking yourself up and exercises to do with things in reality. Um, I don't want that, or I do not want that. It's all in like it's like a really weird balanced negation when we say we like to proclaim something we do, something we, something that I'm gonna say is not, but something that's not. See, I'm stuck in what I'm trying to explain. Something that is not. Boom, it's cut off. Um, so let me get out of this little spill. When you know that and you stay in the confusion of trying to piece those words together in the right way to try to unlock a better door of manifestation, um, you realize that intention is more powerful than you realize. And when you apply intention and when certain things fire and work as a mechanism with thought, spirit, thought, and body, like so the inspiration, the thought process of the idea, and then the progression of action of from start to completion. Um, so yeah, without getting confused and try to like recoding our entire language, you basically work on changing your intention and then holding this up against certain other topics of conversation. It can be done in with anybody. Um, yeah, it's basically a tactic you can use for remembrance and also awakening to kind of see how certain things of this world are architecturally, I don't know, very strategically, um, but subtly tinkered with. I want to think of a verb and use architecture, so architecturally. And that'll lead me into, so from my perspective and my experience, this place is claimed by, so what you would call God, the Son of God. Well, God and then the two sons of God. So you have God, who is apparently anew in the narrative that's running now, and then you have the two sons of God, Enki and Enlil, who are per- portraying as one is Jesus and one is the devil, or one is Horus and the other is Set, whatever narrative you want to go with. But it's from my perspective, that's the way things have been ran on this planet. And then again, I will credit Og Tellez with the statement that those three exist, and then there is another cosmic conscious presence. It's unnameable. Anyways, it's the unnameable kind of understood silent cosmic intelligence. Um, understood silent cosmic intelligence. It was said that this doesn't, well, it seems in a lot of places that this divine intelligence has nothing to do with this place. But as I said in one of my other videos, the more you wake up and the more you understand free will, and the more you read people and manatee and humanities, um, you start understanding on the level of balance. Um, so from, I guess, the cosmic perspective, uh, the the populations of vessels on this planet are waking up to the cosmic food chain because of um, are waking up to the cosmic food chain, and this is providing a grand scenario to unveil a lot of things without even really pushing. Um, as the veil gets pulled, if these certain individuals don't take their own initiative to speak their piece in the way that needs to be spoken, basically the full truth and nothing but the truth, um, there will be a scenario and an incident that will do it for them. It's how synchronicity works now. Now, anyways. That's another thing that's been tampered with quite a bit, as anyone can tell who's awakening, is the synchronicity, which is tied into the subtle manipulation of the language that I went into of our own. And if you ever do like a bilinear translation between English and let's say Hebrew, um, just the amount of information you understand that's lost in the translation from one language to another. It's basically like the more it's translated, the more of a framework you get. And when you study the Hebrew language is much more dynamic, so it can cover many more bases. It's like the Hebrew language is actually like a framework of symbols that, when applied in amongst other symbols in that same alphabet, it can create its own meaning. Like the same symbol can mean two completely different things in its procession of symbols in that statement in Hebrew. And then when you translate this to English, it'll give you a sentence basically. But if you keep doing this from like the same statement in Hebrew to English and keep reversing it, you'll basically build a paragraph based on either one word, English word that translates to Hebrew, and you cycle it, and it it doesn't really end. Some words they do, but it's interesting. Like you'll build a paragraph of information just by translating one word back and forth, back and forth, back and forth from English to Hebrew, and especially with biblical terms. I'll say that that's a better direction. Magic behind words. It is a type of magic, but it's an inversion, and that's a new term that I'm choosing to use, and I will credit Ogtel as. Damn you, Og! You're so God dog. He's on the ball, man. Uh, from from last I looked. Not saying that I'm on the ball, but from my perspective, he's a better release than some of the other ones. Doesn't seem as doctored. Seems a lot more genuine than Corey Good, but Corey Good was like a it was weird. He was used as like a test. It's interesting the perspective and levels of knowing and how to know in procession of moment that is time, and how that can change is very again interesting process to live and decode and code and all sorts of great things. Okay, I think that's about it for this one. God dang, this camera doesn't do those mountains justice. It's like Jurassic Park out there. That's from my perspective. Even if I don't have any information, I'll record the sunset because that's at least a little more magnitude.